What's going on? Welcome everybody. Justin or Just Notified and Armand, Path of Peculiar Podcast, episode number 3. Well, we
We
made it.
back. We
Third
back.
episode. We
A
back
little
like
hiatus, but we back.
a little hiatus. It's been a little busy.
It's
Holidays.
been it's been real busy actually.
Yeah,
Real
definitely.
busy.
So as again, as always, I should say, we've already had most of our conversations off the air and some of the things we want to discuss. And I think today's topic is going to be, passive income, side hustles. I mean, how we're going about it, just various ways that we either experienced and or heard of when it comes to coming up on some side hustles. So
For sure.
the topic of discussion lately, J Flu, just notified is been reselling.
Yep.
And as you know, I just sent off my first Amazon FBA shipment on
That's my
Friday,
dog.
and I've been checking my tracking my shipment at
Mm-hmm.
least every hour since I
Yeah.
sent it. Make
It's
sure they
gonna be
got my
it's gonna be a little
inventory.
minute. It's gonna be a
So,
little
so
minute.
yeah, what's some of the things I should expect next once it hits the from your perspective, once it hits Amazon's warehouses? What's kind of the things that I should expect next since you got a lot more experience doing this?
Yeah. Now I'll say just keep monitoring your the actual tracker itself, but it should send you emails to update you every time that number one, once your shipment arrives, and then Amazon's going to have to go through and start unpacking everything. So it should update you once they start unpacking everything. And then when it's completely fulfilled and you have all of your products in place where customers can actually buy them and they're
Yeah.
available in the store, can be purchased, then they should send you that final update. So from that point, then it's gonna be you're gonna be obsessed with looking at the Amazon seller app, just waiting for something to hit.
So basically, what I just heard you say is it's going to take me, even after they get it, at least a few more days. I can start making this money. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It takes them a little while to go through and sort everything and then organize it and put it in the right storage spots. But once that happens, they should update you, and then you'll see that your items are available for purchase. And then, like I said, in the Amazon seller app, you could just kind of track that and see what's going on with the listing. There's a lot of times where maybe the price or that buy box changes because other people are on that listing and maybe they're adjusting prices, but then you can go in there and make those edits if you want to.
okay, and so the reason we kicked it off talking about Amazon is that Just Notified has been doing the reselling stuff for quite some time, and I'm just now getting started. And when we're talking about side hustles, my initial expectation or initial goal that I've kind of set internal to my household and kind of what I'm hoping to accomplish with this reselling is to my first mark is about if I can make $500 extra a month, I call that call that a victory, or
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
that's my near term goal. So what I started with was we went around our house looking at stuff that we had may have purchased in the past but never opened, and my initial investment is just that it's stuff that we already had. So my wife had um, a subscription for like women's like face care stuff, and so I took she had a whole box full of stuff that she hadn't even used, and I started scanning them through the Amazon seller app. And next thing you know, I noticed I'm like, dang, this one's $89.
Some
This
hits
one's
on it.
$48.
Hits.
This one's $36. So I was like, okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's my initial investment right there. She spent $25 on these boxes monthly for a few months, and then it had a bunch of and she'd get a couple things out of that box that
Hmm.
was worth the amount of the box that she would already be buying. So it pretty much paid for itself already, and so my initial sale of all these items will be 100% profit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm getting started. I could have easily gone and thrown $1,000 towards inventory, but I chose to start it the slow way. So I think with me setting a goal at $500 a month, it's an
Yep.
extra side hustle. And so if you had an extra $500 a month, just notify, what would you do with it? Put you on
I
the spot a
mean,
little bit, but
an extra $500. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could do with it, but when we're talking about our plans, investing, and all of that, that'd probably be a quick throw into some type of stock or
Yeah.
something like that. Try to get a little bit more return off of that. But yeah, I mean, for reselling purposes themselves, and I just dropped my video today about my reselling experience because I just started actively selling on Amazon in October. Now, before that, maybe like 2 years before that, I started selling on eBay, but I did the same thing that you're talking about, which is why I love reselling as a side hustle because you don't have to have any money to get started whatsoever. And go
Yeah.
to your house, find stuff like you mentioned, you're not using it, it's 100% profit. So I love reselling, but if I had an extra $500, I'd probably just keep reinvesting that money into getting more inventory and trying to build out that base a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a bet. And so with me, that once I hit that first mark, everything would be 100% reinvested into more inventory.
Hmm.
Um, Hitting up my Ross, my Marshalls, the Kohl's, some of those more
Yeah,
bargain shopping type of places, and then just start flooding with more and more inventory. 100% investment,
yeah,
probably every time, and so or 100% reinvestment in every single time. And so also for everybody listening and watching, the video that Just Notified just dropped today. The link to that will be in the description. Should you want to partake in that. So I know I frequent and watch the channel, the videos on your side, on your personal page all the time. So I know
yeah.
I can't wait to watch this one.
Good look. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think you can have a lot of fun with it. From my experience reselling and a little bit of backstory of what exactly we're doing. So, you can go into a store, you can go online, find an item, buy that, and then sell it on a different platform for a higher price, make money off of that. Essentially, we're using Amazon right now. You can also use eBay. Those are the two main platforms that I use. But since I've been doing it, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because number one, you learn a lot about different brand names or just different products that you otherwise would never ever know about. And then it's something that you can manage on your own time. You don't have to put any money into it up front. To your point, you just grab stuff that was already lying around the house and you could throw that in, make bread off of it, and then keep on reinvesting it. But it's a lot of fun once you get out there and start hunting some stuff. It's a lot of competition though too. A lot of people are reselling on the platform, so that's something else that you'll see. But from my experience, and I know in our circle, because I know Zach Lowry, I know Killer Dro, both of them are resellers as well. So we all get to kind of put our heads together and share experiences that we have and what we're seeing out in the market. But it's really competitive. But we've also found better ways to source quality items where there may not be as much competition. So I'll be glad to go into all of that once we get deeper into it. But I'm
Oh
glad
man,
you
I
got there
can't wait.
first. Now we ready.
Yeah, I can't wait. And you Zach and Killer Dro, y'all been a wealth of knowledge, and so I think having just for everybody listening, having people in your corner around you that you can pick up the phone and call and just say get some advice from that may be a little bit further along in the process than you are, is extremely valuable. So I know when I was after I was scanning all the different items that we had that we're going to sell, and I hit you up and I was like, hey man, what I got to do? All right, hey, go into that app, click the start
Yeah,
scanning those barcodes, start adding listing them, and then just the steps and the processes. But I appreciate you
for
and
sure.
providing that information because I mean that first time, even though now that I look back at it, the process seemed to be pretty straightforward on how to identify something, list it.
Yep.
But then when you're in the moment, you're doing it the first time and you're exploring a new app. I was like, man, this is a lot of buttons.
It's yeah, for the first time when you just get into it, it can be intimidating for sure. And so if you have people that you know that are already doing it, or you have some type of resource you can go to find out what button to push, where to go, what to enter, all that stuff, absolutely do that. Because for my first time when I was going through it, I mean, I strayed away from Amazon because I was intimidated by the process of going through entering everything and then shipping it off to them. Because
Right.
with eBay, I store everything in my house until it's sold. So having to learn all that it took me a while to even get started. But I applaud you for just diving into it. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And relatively stress free from the not from the user perspective. That was kind of could be a little stressful starting off.
Yeah.
It was a little stressful trying to figure out what buttons click, make sure I ain't wasting my money and sending it to a random place.
Right.
But the main reason why I just chose to use items in my own home is that that we've already purchased and that had just not used was that that isn't still an investment because at some point in time we have spent money on that. But
Yeah, for sure.
I'm most excited about the learning process.
Yeah.
Before I hit the ground running, I think I set a reasonable goal of $500 a month. But while I'm trying to get that $500 of extra side hustle money a month, I'm just treating everything as a learning opportunity. How to go out and search items for my inventory.
Yeah.
It will get me the best returns. And it once I started looking for items to sell, I started realizing like, man, the economy we have is kind of amazing. So like when you look at it, if I go to Ross and I find a Tommy Hilfiger shirt,
Yeah.
just using that as example, a Calvin Klein shirt, something like that, right? So Calvin Klein had made their money, Ross done made their money.
Mm-hmm.
I may be able to make some money off of it. Amazon's obviously going to make some money off of it if I'm selling it on their platform. And then the person consuming it still may or may not get it for cheaper than what they've seen in other stores. And they're probably going to be satisfied with that product if they're going to go out on their own and buy it. And so there's a lot of hands in between when it was first manufactured. I forgot the manufacturer. When it's first manufactured all the way to the consumer, how many people can take a slice of that pie? And so that's kind of interesting to me. And so
that's the one thing that I've always been amazed by, and I wish that I could track the lineage from something that I've sold up until I bought it, and then after I sold it, what happens to it? Because, like I said, I started off just doing eBay, and the only items that I would go and buy, just because I didn't want to spend any more than like $5 to $10 on any purchase I made. So I would just go into thrift stores, and you can go into thrift stores and find some pretty incredible things. Which again, I was trying to figure out how did this item make it here. So I had and I put this on my Instagram a while back, but this is probably my biggest success story of thrifting. But went to a thrift store, and there was a Lacoste sweater, and you could tell it was vintage. It was like a heavy cable knit sweater, and I saw they had it for $3 in there. And when I looked up on the eBay app and I was running comps of similar items that have sold or that item in the sales history, I saw people selling it for 150, 120, 90, and I was like, "There's no way." So, of course, I bought it. I listed it. Now, it took a while for this item to sell. I was probably holding it for maybe 4 or 5 months before a buyer came in and purchased it. But when a buyer did come in to purchase it, they didn't send me an offer or try to negotiate. They just bought it straight up. I think I had it listed for like $120. And so they just went and paid that plus the shipping. All in, I think they paid something like 150, 160 bucks. But I noticed that the buyer was some type of retail store in New York. So I'm thinking they purchased it and then they're reselling it. So they're going to mark it up. So it's always amazed me the lineage of how a product or item gets somewhere and then what happens after.
Right. And that to me, that's amazing. That's an economy at its works right there. And so, when you start to look at it, right, how much time it takes to do some of these things, and it doesn't seem to take. I mean, just from my experience, obviously, with my experience, I didn't go out to the stores and source my items, identify something, and then come home and enlist it. I skipped the first part, but for me, if I did it, an hour or two every weekend, which is an hour or two to find inventory, source, and send it off. Or list and send it off, and I can make potentially upwards of $1,000 a month. For some people, that's their mortgage or their rent. That's their car note there, and that's it doesn't take, it takes little to no startup costs, right? And that's the crazy part about it. Obviously, if I was to start with $1,000 of inventory right off the bat, obviously I could probably scale it a lot faster.
For sure, 100%.
The inspiring part is that you can take little to nothing, right, and start a business with it, / side hustle that could bring you money that could pay your bills. that
Straight
can,
up.
feed other investments. Or that's the
Yeah.
part that I like most about it. And it's something that where it's what you put into is what you can get in return. So if I want to, if I have the money and the time to spend hours in the store finding niche and high sellable items,
Hmm.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And then if I
Yeah.
100% if I don't need this $500 or this $1,000 today, and I want to reinvest it into inventory, I could
Yeah.
keep scaling and growing and growing and growing. And obviously, you're going to have some losses. I'm sure you've had items that
Yes.
didn't sell.
Yes.
You still hasn't sold, right? But I feel like, as you go, as you get better at identifying those items that are you selling like hotcakes, that will probably minimize those, those.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's all gonna come in time. Like, once maybe you get something and it fails where it doesn't sell or it doesn't sell for the price that you were thinking that it was gonna sell for, then you learn from that and you start tweaking the types of items maybe that you buy, or you look at different data points to see is this a good item. But all that's gonna come in time.
yeah,
But I think that a couple things when it comes to reselling that I really like. To me, it doesn't feel like work. Now, there are certain aspects of it that do feel like work when you're having to package everything up and get it ready and send it off. Like, yes, that's going to feel like work. But when you're going out to source items or you're in store online and you see some crazy deals that pop off, and then you look at what they're selling for on Amazon, like sometimes it's unreal. So that part to me, I thoroughly enjoy. I still to this day have not felt like I've worked when I'm reselling at all. So I think that that's pretty cool. The other thing that I really like about it is, and if any of our friends are going to watch this, they're going to laugh at me because when I use the term active passive income, I don't know who I heard that term from, but it's the only thing that I can say to describe this type of business, I guess. It is active passive. And what I mean by that is when you first start up, of course, you're just trying to get as much inventory into Amazon or list as much inventory on eBay as you can, and you're not going to see a lot of returns off of that. But once you start getting all of that into the facilities where customers can actually start buying them, then at that point, I mean, you can literally be watching TV or playing, on the sticks playing a game, and then your phone start going off, and you see that you're starting to sell stuff. So at a certain point, it does become more passive after you get your inventory in the works and you kind of have that baseline of product for people to buy. So that's the other thing I really like about it.
yeah. So it's the work is front loaded. It's kind of like teaching a
It's not
course and
low.
putting it up on a learning management system or something like that, and you selling your course. Like you did your work already.
Yep.
Now you sit back and reap the rewards of your work. And you can make more, plenty of money off of that. And
Yeah.
I coined those type of efforts and those type of side hustles semi passive
Yeah.
income.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I start to really think about it, I mean, I guess there are some passive incomes out there, but there's not many incomes or side hustles that's going to be 100% passive. I think in a way that's kind of a misnomer. I think, okay, when you get a rental property, even getting a rental property, at some point you've had to do some type of work. You've had
Yeah.
to go out looking for a place. You've had to kind of run your numbers.
Hmm.
And even if you have it managed by somebody else, there's going to be some interactions, things that you're going to have with your property management company. And that's,
Yeah.
hey, the air conditioning is out now. You're going out and finding, which they may go out and find an HVAC company for you, but you're going to have to do your due diligence to make sure that what you're spending your money on is a sound investment. And
Sure.
and so either way it goes, there's some type of work, but I'll call them semi-passive because maybe for the vast majority of time you're not doing any work. You do a little bit of work and then you kind of benefit off of that work later.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
I would much prefer that, even if you're putting a lot of effort in up front. And that, I think, to your point, that applies to most everything. Like there's something you have to do to get to the path of a paycheck just getting sent to your mailbox. And but
old
I
school.
would much prefer that versus me staying on somebody's job for an eternity. And so based off the work that I'm doing, then they cut me a check, but I have to continue working to keep getting that check. Like there is no passive part about that. So I think if people get in the mindset of trying to start something or entrepreneurship or business or side hustles that could eventually grow into something else, that can turn more into passive versus, I'm waiting for somebody to sign off on my check every 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do have friends that's kind of replaced their main hustle with their side hustle, and one that comes to
Yeah.
mind, Dro, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to his reselling, right? That's it. That's his,
100%.
that's his hustle. So he get out, he wake up, get on the sticks, get on Fortnite, do whatever you want to do, and
Yeah.
work out how
The
much he
goal
wants.
right there.
Yeah, and that to me is powerful. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make, I'm trying to have enough side hustles coming in to where those become my main hustles,
Yeah.
and I manage my time how I want to manage my time, put as much into it or as little into it as I want. Be kind of the holder of my own destiny when it comes to that, to my income. You want
Yeah.
to share? You want to share some of your before we wrap up the reselling part? You want to share some of your best months? We're putting you on
Oh
the
yeah,
spot.
yeah. So this was in a video that I just dropped, but it didn't take me long to start turning a profit selling through Amazon. Now, the reason why is I did invest some of my own money up front. So I didn't start that grassroots like going through my house and stuff. A couple years back when I started on eBay, that's what I was doing to generate some of that income. But for Amazon specifically, I started in October of last year. And so I invested $2,500 of my own money into it just to get items to start sending in and try to start flipping those. But I'm sure because of the time of year, November was my best month. So that was obviously going into Christmas. So people were just going crazy, buying everything off the platform. So I made a little bit over 5,000 net payments from Amazon and eBay combined in November, which that was wild to me because again, that was my second full month selling on it. So it was wild.
Yeah, and see that's if you can have that type of run rate for from an annual perspective, that's $60,000 net that you're able to
That's wild
use.
on a side
Um,
hustle.
yeah, and that's a hell of a side hustle if you would
Mhm.
ask me. And so I
Absolutely.
think that to me is amazing. So I mean, kind of talk in the same breath when we're talking about these high side hustles. I know my next effort outside of this reselling is going to be. I say we talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about this real estate, and then we can finish with our content. But I
Sure.
think the next side hustle that I'm really excited to get into is my first rental property.
Yeah.
So kind of been looking at options and running numbers and just kind of figure out what's going to be the best investment for my family, and that's my next side hustle slash semi passive income
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait. And so
Dude.
starting to be able to merge some of these different efforts, and it might be a little bit here and a little bit there, but together and 100% I look at it as my side hustles are to be 100% reinvested at all times
Yeah.
and continuously being
Let it
100%
grow.
reinvested.
Let it grow. No, for sure. No, I'm excited for you, bro. Getting into rental property, having renters in there, getting that mailbox money. Boy, and off of our last podcast, we were talking about how you would invest a certain amount of money. Both the top of our list was real estate. So I'm on the same page with you. I'm hoping around the same time frame you're looking at it because real estate is an investment vehicle that I want to get into. So I'm working toward trying to get enough capital up to be able to get into something. But yeah, that's going to be an amazing feeling right there, dude. But
Man.
again, we're talking about the semi-passive or the active passive. Again, I don't know where I got that from, but
Yeah.
um, the work that you're doing right now to prepare yourself for that, I think that's going to pale in comparison to the payoff that you get where you just kick back chilling and you got somebody sending you checks every month.
Yeah, and not to be an economist here, because I definitely didn't go to school for that. I didn't learn the textbook economist ways. But for
I
me,
can't even
it
spell it.
seems like yeah, look, spell that thing. To me, it's a good hedge on this inflation that we're dealing with, right? So last time I checked, we're dealing with almost 7% inflation in this country. So sitting money into a savings account right now, it's not the most ideal way for me. And now I'm looking at it. So, um, when things are inflated, um, rent goes up, um, just like home prices go up. So it's not so much the month to month money that I'll be making on potentially on a rental property that I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to. Is that consistent growth. Because as if you look at any charts with mortgage rates, or not mortgage rates, but mortgage values, they tend to track up, just like
Yeah,
the S&P 500. Over
sure.
time, they tend to track up. So it's a great long term investment for me and my family. How I'm looking at it,
Yeah,
and based on the data that I'm looking towards. And I mean, what my kind of the things that help me kind of soothe my mind when it comes to taking that leap and putting money into a place solely for somebody else to live in, for me to create some passive income, is like, well, worst case scenario, we have another mortgage crash like 2007, 2008,
right.
and home values drop considerably. To me, that it may take a hit on your net worth or your ego, whatever the case may be when it comes to money,
Yeah,
but folks still need places to live.
I always
Still
will.
rent, just because the value dropped considerably, that don't mean the rentability dropped. So that for me, and with me coming into it, it's not no. I'm not trying to buy it, fix it up, and flip it. So
Mhm.
it's not like the day to day, kind of like a stock portfolio. The day to day value of it doesn't really matter much to me. It's
Yeah,
the long term trajectory, the long term trends that I'm looking forward to. It's something that I'm trying to. 35 years old now. That's something I'm trying to reap the benefits off of when I'm 65 potentially.
right. Yeah,
Or even maybe someday my kids can reap the benefits off of the same address. And so, uh, for me, I'm not really caring or concerned with, I guess, the day to day values,
yeah,
or value of the property. More so, just the fact that it can stay occupied with a tenant, and
yeah,
continue to pay my mortgage or provide me some type of revenue.
yeah. It's crazy. And to your point, it's like where you get your comfort from when it comes to investing in real estate. The example that you just gave, 35 right now, you want to still be eating off that when you're 65. Like, what do you think that, and you don't have to talk about the area that you're looking at or anything like that as far as real estate investment, but you think 30 years ago what the housing market value was? Just go off of that data alone.
Right.
I mean,
And
that gives
and
you
so,
comfort saying long term
yeah.
that this is going to be a good investment.
And to your point, some of the homes I'm looking at are well over 30 years. They still standing,
Yeah,
and the what the people bought it for 30 years ago, pennies. Because obviously
right.
some Zillow and Redfin and some of these different sources, you can kind of look at some of those previous sales prices. And I'm like, man, they
Yeah,
eat. They ate. I mean,
that's
look at
what,
what values have done in the last decade.
yeah.
Look at the values have done since the pandemic started.
Yeah, I was going to say in the last few years,
Yeah,
unreal.
man, it's
So, yeah, I think that's important, when you talk about where you find your comfort from, doing your research so you are comfortable going into whatever vehicle you're going to invest in. I know we're kind of talking about some of the things we did in our last podcast, but I think that's really important though. And then the other thing, tying it into what we're talking about now, as far as the overall goal that we're trying to bring to this podcast or to just, how we operate in life is financial peace, not having to worry about money ever again. And from what I've seen in my research, people that have made an extremely high net worth, they have multiple streams of income. So that's where the reselling piece of it comes into. That's where the real estate investment can come into to add to your portfolio. I know you mentioned we're going to talk also about content creation because that's something else that we're looking to kind of get into. And for me, there's a couple of different reasons. I do like the fact that I can record a video and put it on a platform where anybody can access it, anybody can see it. And the second piece is, of course, going to be monetization. You get to that point, it's another stream of income. So I think for both of us, all of last month, throughout all of January, has been busy, busy because we're learning a lot. We're trying to, the reselling piece of it. We've been talking a lot about real estate, and we've been creating content or mainly on YouTube, we've been trying to put out videos and trying to start getting recognized there. So if you want to talk about that,
Let's
there's a
get
lot we can go over because
yeah, yeah. And so the as Justin just mentioned, um, another thing we've been doing is a side hustle, and right now it's all investment of our time
yep,
and our resources because obviously it's not a side hustle that's going to guarantee and or grant you income for most people right off the bat, and that's our content creation. So my family, we started a gaming channel, so we noticed my wife and my kids we tend to game together, and so why not kind of share that moment or share those experiences with everybody, with the world. So in the last month and some change, we've kind of thrown out 29 videos. So we've been putting in work, making thumbnails, creating, editing videos, and it's been quite the journey. And it's been something that I've learned a ton about. I've always said, and I know I told you this multiple times, Jay Flu, is that I'm not that creative, right? And I started to really challenge my that notion because I'm
yeah,
sitting making thumbnails, I'm editing, I got ideas like okay, I can do this,
yeah,
I can do that, and that's when it's weird that creative bug done bit me, and
yep,
now I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I'll quick plug, and so I also have another channel that I'm gonna start here soon. It's gonna be plugging more kind of some of my finances and some of the different side hustles, kind of tracking my journey on kind of how I'm approaching that. But
sure,
it's kind of inspiring that you can do something or learn something. You can have a job or a side hustle. You can then make content and off of capturing what you've learned or the journey you're on with that side hustle and make money off of that. And
yep,
then you can make money talking about you monetizing and making money off of the side hustle that you worked. That's to me
yeah,
is crazy how many different ways in 2022 we could
yeah,
flip a dollar. It's
dude.
nuts to me.
So many ways. And yeah, going back to your channels and going back to your statement about, not being creative, I think that when you're preparing any type of content because you're putting it out for, I mean, who knows who's going to see it, but that's like your baby. You want that to be polished. You want, some type of theme through it, all that type of stuff. So I've seen from you with the thumbnail creation to some of the edits that you starting to put into the videos, like, yeah, you can get creative for sure. Um, but I mean, the other thing is for content creation, it's always amazed me. And again, it took me a while to even get started putting any content out. But to your point, you can you can literally there is an audience for pretty much anything. So if you have an interest or a hobby or a passion or whatever that is, if you just push record, and it doesn't have to be have to have this high end camera or anything. People are doing this off of their phone. I saw that there was some chick that was just recording off her iPhone and she hit big and had over 1 million subscribers. Now that's not going to be something that's not the norm whatsoever. But I think that shows you if you're interested in creating any type of content, if you're passionate about something and you just want to share it, I think YouTube is a great platform for that. The monetization is going to come later on down the line, but if you just have a passion for it, I think that's the right heart to start out with. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you definitely learn a lot.
Yeah.
I'm learning a ton with it right now.
Yeah, and worst case scenario for me, and it is definitely an investment of my time. But the worst case scenario for me is that, and this is not a bad worst case scenario for me at all, is that no monetization comes, but I now got documented moments with my babies that we can
Yeah,
memories that we can cherish for years to come.
for sure.
Little silly things that we said on recording, or me chasing kids in the background, or we or some or one of our videos, I'm cooking, my kids are playing, and I can hear myself as I'm watching the video, the live while they're playing. I can hear me banging on the stove, like stirring stuff up, and I'm like, man, that sounds janky, but at the end of the day,
It's real
that's
though. It's relatable.
yeah,
That's why, that's why
you
I like
are a
it.
family gaming channel. You're gonna hear a 6-year-old come in, at lunchtime saying, "Hey, it's 12:01. It's 1 minute past lunchtime."
Yeah,
You're gonna hear those things in our content. I think that's what makes it original to us,
yeah,
GSquad family and
yeah.
GSquad gaming family. And so, but yeah, let's go ahead. Let's pitch some of your content. 'Cause I know you got some bangers out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get some stuff out there. Yeah, I kind of when I started my channel, it just started kind of an introduction to myself and what I'm passionate about. And so going back to the financial freedom aspect, it's a lot revolving around that. But then that's broken off into different things. So I mean, if you don't know already, I'm a technical recruiter. I've been in that industry for a while. So I've worked with some bigger names like Amazon for a couple of years. I've worked with a lot of different tech companies, but the experience I've gotten from that, I'm seeing is extremely valuable, or it's something that a lot of people request from the eyes of a recruiter when you're talking about how to build a resume out, or you're talking about how to prepare for different types of interviews. I mean, that's something that's my day to day that I took for granted that a lot of people just don't really know how to do, or maybe they learned a way that wasn't the best way to do it. And so I've talked to a lot of people about that since I put some of those videos out. I helped one of my buddies um, just last week. He's in the construction industry and he was trying to get his resume put together and start looking for some different jobs, but didn't know where to start. So I just sat on a FaceTime with him. We went through everything and got him built out a solid resume. That boy about to be CEO somewhere in a minute here because that jump was looking tight. But it's stuff like that for my channel. I talk about the finance piece. I talk about the side hustle piece, reselling, content creation, and then I talk about from my professional work experience, recruiting and different things that can fold into that. So,
Yeah, that's live. And don't forget to plug Just Notified Gaming.
oh, just notified gaming. Yeah, you know what? That was something that I just the past few weeks. So, just notified gaming is my second channel, and usually I'll just hop on there with some friends, with Armand, of course, Killer Joe, who we talked about, Zach Lowry, we talked about. We'll hop on there, usually running like Fortnite, Call of Duty, stuff like that. But that's where I'll just put some of my gaming content. I need to get back onto that. And I actually just bought a PC. Well, I didn't just buy it. I had a PC for the last few weeks, but I just plugged it in maybe like 2 weeks ago. So I do need to start streaming, which I stream on Twitch, and then I'll take some of that content, break it up, and then put it onto my Just Notified Gaming channel.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we'll definitely make sure that we um, provide the links to GSquad gaming channel, the Just Notified main channel, and your Just Notified gaming channel if anybody wants to kind of check out what our content's like outside of Path to Peculiar podcast. We'll provide that down in the link.
So let me ask, AG, since you started creating content, what what piece of it do you find the most fun? Because there's a lot of things that go into it. I mean, you got to go into you're streaming the content, and then after that, you're breaking down a video. If you're editing it up, you got thumbnail creation, you got all of that. What's your favorite part so far, and what's your least favorite part so far?
The favorite part so far, surprising. I got two favorites, so I got tied for my favorites. The first favorite has been watching my kids, like the little because like my wife, she'll watch people game.
Yeah,
I've never really been into watching it until we started streaming, and so I don't know what the normal like and subscribe or making this comment or making that I don't know. I didn't know that normal stuff. Neither
right.
my kids, because they didn't watch it either. Only really my wife watched it.
Yeah,
And so it's been watching them, mainly my middle child, kind of develop her own style, or
oh, she go at it.
my other daughter develop their own style with how they want to go about it, what they want to say, the little jokes they crack.
Yeah,
That's been kind of fun to watch, and then to
sure.
kind of watch that's been enjoyable for me. And then surprisingly, you about to, because at first, I just want to throw these lives up, let that
Yeah,
be that.
yeah.
It's been the editing. Been the hidden surprise. I didn't realize I would enjoy that creative process, that figuring out, because we're using Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
there's a lot of buttons.
It's a
And so
lot.
trying to figure out what to do and how to do it, and then so now I'm in a phase where I'll have a vision of what I'm trying to do, what I would like to do, but it's the research and actually learning how to implement it is the difficult part. But I'm in that journey and I'm learning right now. So
Yeah.
that's been my favorite part. What's been your favorite part about the content creation?
Yeah, that's crazy that you mentioned that. The editing is definitely the most time consuming piece of content creation by far. But to your point, I like editing, and I like it because you have a vision in your mind, and then once you film it, and when you start going through it, and when you see it starting to actually develop to turn into a usable piece of content, you're like, hey, this isn't bad right here. We can go ahead and throw this up. So I like the editing piece of it, but the part that I don't like about editing, and in my videos, a lot of them are just talking head videos. So when I have to go through and watch myself stumble through sentences and just stumble through basic words that I say every day, I start hating myself a little bit. Like, bro, what is wrong with you? But that's the part where I'm like, that's probably my least favorite part. And the other thing is the thumbnails. I always forget to pose for a thumbnail while I'm recording. So then I have to go back and pose for it to then put it back onto my video after I've already uploaded it.
Yeah,
That's
that's wild. And so what I did with mine, a little trick is put me and the kids and the wife all behind the little green screen. Took some little quick pictures with the iPhone. Like I
yeah.
said, you'll see on my thumbnails, they got the same pictures, or you know what I'm saying, on all the thumbnails. But
I'll be trying to reuse some of mine, bro. I'll be trying to reuse some
yeah,
of mine, dude.
it's try the volume that we're throwing up some of these videos. We gotta, man, I gotta pump those things out like every, like
Yeah,
5 minutes max on the
yeah.
thumbnail. That's probably about what I spend. But but it just notified we have 41 minutes on this on
41.
episode 3.
Easy.
Let's go
Light.
ahead. We can
That's
we can
light.
wrap, yeah, we can wrap this thing up and start preparing and thinking about what we're doing for episode 4, since we done made it past 1, 2, and now we on 3.
Yeah,
Further than we're now podcasters now. This is
I think
official now.
so.
Three episodes. We'll get better and better.
Yeah, I think
Stick
we.
with us.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it so far. If anybody watched to this point, appreciate y'all tuning in. We're always thinking, well, honestly, we talk every day anyway, so we're always coming up with new content ideas that we can just talk about, or new topics we can talk about. But if there's anything specific that somebody might want to hear from us, let us know in the comment section, and we'll definitely bring that up in the next episode. But no, other than that, again, for my channel, if you want to follow me personally, it's just notified, 2 words, and then I have just notified gaming. um, but yeah, no, other than that, man, I've enjoyed it.
Right. And so that definitely. And so if you want to see some of our family gaming content on the side, is like I said, it's going to be GSquad Gaming, 2 words. We ours it's a blue logo. Ours should come up first when you search it on YouTube. I think it's because we pumping out content like no other. And so, like I said before, all the links to our pages will be in the description, so you can be easy for you to get to. And again, we appreciate you guys being on and watching to this point. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to Pat's Peculiar YouTube channel if you haven't already. And we appreciate y'all.
Hmm.
We out.
Look, that boy, a YouTuber. All right, y'all.
YouTubers.